Hello, my name is Tendai Manombo, and this is Real Talk. The city of Harare contracted Georgenix BV to run the Pomona waste-to-energy project, an engagement that has caused significant pushback from the citizens to the point of seeking legal resolution due to the circumstances around the requisite procurement processes. There are many questions centered around the legality of the deal and who it is meant to benefit. Joining us today to bring some clarity on the matter is the Mayor of Harare, His Worship Mr. Jacob Mafume. He studied law at the University of Zimbabwe and is currently a practicing lawyer. Please stay tuned to hear more about the Pomona deal, which is now coined Wastegate. Alright, so lately you've made a lot of headlines and fighting a whole lot of battles on Twitter and in the papers. But as mayor, Mayor of Harare, please may you just unpack the Pomona deal for us. We just need to understand what's going on with that.
Well, it's the Pomona deal has been in the issue. I represent the citizens, and all I do is to speak about the citizens' issue, alert them to what is happening, consult them to where there is need to consult. The Pomona deal is supposed to be, at its perfect sense, purely waste to energy kind of deal. There are a number of byproducts that are there, but it's purely and primarily a waste to energy deal, whereby we use the rubbish at Pomona, which is a dump site, and that rubbish is then generated into energy. Specifications that we have is that they want to generate 22 megawatts of energy. That is enough to power a small town. A small town like Mashingo can be powered by 6 megawatts. So it will probably be enough to power some sections of Harare or some operations of Harare, and they're supposed to sell that power to ZESA. So basically, if you look at it from that standpoint, it's a run-of-the-mill power waste to energy deal, which is a build, operate, transfer, where we're supposed to then get the power station after a period of time. In this case, it's 30 years. And then the city council gets the period and then it runs with the waste to energy.
Okay, so you have said it's supposed to do this, it's supposed to do that. I suppose it's really at its elementary stages right now. It's very early, but that is what it is going to do on paper. But what other services is the deal supposed to offer?
Well, that's basically it. Of course, when you're talking about waste, you're talking about a whole lot of other things. There's waste that doesn't burn, that is metal. There's waste that is recycled to many other uses. Artists, clothes, and so forth. There's other waste. There are over 3,000 people that live in the dump site at Pomona. They are sheikhs because of maybe some decisions in their lives. They've ended up living in the Pomona dump site. But if you go there, there's a thriving community of people that actually live in the dump site, that rely on the recycling of material that is given, plastics and so forth, that are being made into many other uses materials. So that's what it's supposed to do. And you create a dump site, you create a site where you can eventually, in the fullness of time, build property on top of the dump site. You can build houses and new towns. It can regenerate factories and so forth, and then a whole lot of other industries that can grow out of a dump site in the process of time.
So the people who are currently squatting in that area are going to directly benefit from this deal?
No, they probably won't, because they will. Then it has become a commercial site, and
surely they get first preference.
No, they are not getting first preference. So that's where the issue with the deal with, because I've told you what it's supposed to look like normally, but it is not looking like that, and hence why we have had an issue with it as residents.
Okay, so who was contracted to do this deal?
There was a company called Georgenix, which was contracted to do this deal. It's an Albanian company based in Albania, and this in the Netherlands. It's a Netherlands registered company. It is local representatives, that is the leash of the drugs firm, and he's the one who has been fronting that deal. And this company is the one that has been given the commercial rights to that deal, or that has been contracted by the council.
All right. How did he end up in this situation? Oh, Georgenix. How did they end up getting this deal? Were proper procurement procedures followed through?
Well, as far as we are concerned, or as far as I'm concerned as the mayor and the number of councillors belonging from the CCC, this deal was not obtained following the proper procedures. There was no tender. It was a solicitation. They came to us and said they want to do this. They came to the council. It got exemptions from PRAS. It got preferential treatment from ZIDA. It got preferential treatment from the cabinet, and it was approved by all these bodies before, as council, we had approved it. And it was then foisted on the city council with clauses that I call clauses from hell. And I call it a devilish contract, because it is not in the interests of the landowner. As you know, we as council own Pomona dumpsite 100%. And we've got a cabinet, a ministry, a PRAS giving preferential treatment to a company and then fostering that company on the city council. So we have issues. We are not convinced that it followed proper procedures. We know it didn't follow proper procedures, and we are up in arms with the clauses in the contract.
All right. So at what point did they approach you? Because you said it was a solicitation kind of deal. So at what point did they approach you as the council? Was it after they had all these approvals? During, at what stage?
Yeah, they then approached us after they got this approval. So they came in and said, look, we've already been approved by government, we've already been approved by cabinet, we've already been approved by PRAS, we've already been approved by the minister, we know big people, we are coming to you, you're supposed to do this is in the national interest, we want to help you to do a Pomona dumpsite and waste to energy, and it was a ready-made contract.
So you feel undermined?
Yes, the residents feel undermined. We feel stolen from. We feel that this was not done in a proper manner that a contract has to be done, especially when you're dealing with a public utility such as refuse, and you're dealing with the public council such as the Harare City Council.
All right. Okay, so we're going to take a very short break. Welcome to our second segment, where we have His Worship, Mr. Jacob Mafume, the Mayor of Harare, and we're talking about the Pomona deal. And, what we want to find out from you was a feasibility study undertaken before the signing of the MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement.
Well, I'm told the feasibility study was done, but unfortunately the feasibility study was also contracted by the company that is doing the project. So it was supposed to be contracted out, to be given a tender, and the company selected that is independent.
So there's bias here.
There's bias here. The company that's doing the project appointed was given a dispensation from the ministry to appoint its own feasibility study company. And so everything is rigged towards this company succeeding.
All right. So let's just take it from the beginning. What was supposed to happen? At what stage were they supposed to approach you? for this deal to have come about,
Yeah,
what was supposed to
What
happen?
we're supposed to do with these deals is that we must put it to tender. We call out, like everything else that we do, to buy tissue paper, to buy ballpoint pens, to buy pens. We put it out and tender it. And these are less complex issues. For a complex contract, such a waste to energy plant, you need to put out a tender, you need to have specifications, and then you need to have independent experts advising on that tender. It goes through PRAS, that's what the law provides, and then there's also, the law on how you do joint ventures, and you get it out there. Bidding is done, various companies will get the one that is suitable to the specifications that we have given.
Based on budget or on merit? Based on
merit. Okay. And the budgets, obviously everything goes into it. And then those who want to object, and then you then award the company that wins the contract. Right. And you then deal with the various aspects that are required for a contract of that nature. So that is what was supposed to happen. That didn't happen.
And here we are now.
Here we are now. We are now gifted. Well, not gifted really, but we are now with a deal that has got very, very bad clauses in it. One, we've got a deal that requires us as the landlord to pay the tenant money. So we've given a lease to this company called Georgenix. But guess what? Instead of them paying us, we are the one paying them for leasing the Pomona dumpsite. Then we are supposed to ferry rubbish to this company. And guess what? In the contract, we are supposed to pay for the rubbish that we give this company. So we pay $40 per ton for every ton we give them. And they are guaranteed minimums in the contract. We need to give them a guaranteed minimum of 500, in excess of 500 tons in this first year, which comes up to about $22,000 US per ton, and that is net. Eventually, we are supposed to give them 1,000 tons per day, which gives us $40,000 US per day that we are supposed to pay for bringing the rubbish. Okay. Let me illustrate it to people. It's like you are growing wheat, okay, and you make flour and you give it to a baker. You who is making the flour actually deliver the flour to the bakery. You pay the bakery to take your flour. The bakery makes bread. They sell the bread. They keep the money. So it's like an evil cartoon. You remember when we were kids and we were watching cartoons, and the cartoons were sharing the loot. So there will be this big cartoon with a bouncer and the small brainy cartoon counting, saying 1, and then says 1, then says 2, then says 1, 2.
So it's a villain.
Yeah.
It's a villainous deal.
It's a villainous deal. Okay. So they are counting the dollars in the side, but you're seeing the mountain of money growing up, but you're counting the same one. Right. That kind of thing.
Now, my question, you having said what you said, right, that it's a villainous deal and you've been very vocal about how you're against it completely. But what has the city of Harare, what has the council done so far as refuse collection? Because you were hardly capacitated anyway, and someone had to do something.
Yeah, but not take our money.
Yes, but someone had to do something.
Yeah,
so I get what you mean, that they're not supposed to steal.
If someone has to do something, it means, like, if they find you've been robbed by robbers, they find you with the trousers and the top off. Then they take the trousers and say, because you were already half naked.
Okay, let me rephrase that. What did you as the city of Harare have in place?
We had in place, what we need to have is that we are supposed to have a waste to energy.
That's what you're supposed to do. But let's talk about what you had in place.
What we had in place was we are collecting the rubbish and putting it at Pomona.
Is that sustainable?
It is sustainable. It's a rubbish dump. That's what you do. This is not a sustainable. This is a new plan that somebody comes and says it's a modern plan that has only started recently the world over. The dump sites have been there since the creation of cities. There are many things that you can do with the dump site. It's not mandatory that every dump site must be a waste to energy process. You can create a dump site which it's part of a process of a land reclamation process. If you compact the dump site enough, you might well be able to reclaim it and build other things on top of the dump site.
But the space is not infinite.
Yes.
And Harare is growing.
It's growing.
Right. So my question about sustainability was, you said the dump site, Pomona dump site was...
Let's have a waste to energy or any other modern recycling methods. But let's do them in a fair manner.
No, that's fine. Does the city of Harare have that in place?
Yes, we had that in place.
Okay.
We put this out to tender. The government itself started suspending me so that I should not be at work. They cancelled the tenders that we had, and every time we tried to tender it to companies that meet the specification, we were blocked because they were blocking it for this crony company. Okay. And they have been restricting the operations of the city of Harare. You know, I've been on suspended 4 times. Yes. I've just got a high court order to stop those kind of suspensions because they've been just gratuitous, spurious, and just to keep me out of office. They have been interfering as central government on the operations of the city. And the interference is not limited to refuse alone. It's just that the residents of Harare have not been paying attention. They took vehicle licensing, created a parastatal called Zinara, where they were doing makeups and building swimming pools at their houses, buying aeroplanes, snow graders, basically abusing the money. They took away the electricity from the city of Harare. The power station that you see out there was built by the city of Harare. It was taken by ZESA, and now we are struggling to get electricity. They left us with the responsibility to do the lights without the power source. They took water at some point. We only returned it when people started dying of cholera. They took Zupco.
So what does the city of Harare have?
They took Zupco, and look where it has led us. We control a lot of things. We've got assets, we've got Lake Cllr, we've got water that was brought back to us, we've got the roads that they didn't take, which are not trunk roads, which we are supposed to take care of. We've got development control. We've got a whole lot of things that we have to do as the Harare City Council. Remember, a city is an artificial organism. Okay, it's created by us. It's created in our minds. We plan. We are the ones who decide. There will be low density here. There will be high density here. There will be a business district here. There will be a bar there. There will be this. We organize how we live together as citizens of a city. And we are supposed to do that and combine our collective revenue and our collective assets to the benefit of the residents. So that's what we do on a day-to-day basis. And we are supposed, it's not rocket science. Every city does that. Joburg, Cape Town, Nairobi, and so forth. But in Zimbabwe, we have not allowed devolution to take its place. We've got a government that is corrupt, that interferes, that takes everything, that restricts the revenue base of the city council, and that tries to grab whatever it can from the city councils.
All right, so what you're saying is that the city of Harare is at the mercy of the government.
The city of the Harare at the moment is at the mercy of government. The mayor of Harare is always suspended by the government. I don't suspend myself.
You just blocked it?
Yes, I've just blocked it, but it has taken me a year to do so, or 2 years.
All right, so you've been quoted in the media saying the Pomona deal, quote, is the biggest fraud in the history of post-colonial Zimbabwe. Please explain this assertion.
Someone buys a pen and bond paper, sits in an office, calls it a cabinet office. They drink tea, they sign. They come out of it and say, City of Harare must pay them $22,000 per day. I mean, what bigger fraud can they be than that? A group of individuals sit down, decide on a piece of land that is not theirs. It's like you're reading a Scramble for Africa book. The Scramble for Harare. They sit there, sit down and write and sign on a piece of paper. And after signing, they say, yeah, because we've signed, we've taken over Pomona, you as the residents are supposed to pay me 22,000 US dollars. Thieving has never been made easy. Stealing has never been as easy as that. All you have to do is buy a ballpoint pen, bond paper, sit with your friends, drink whiskey, all male, I suppose, a group of male, thuggish and thieving individuals sit. I doubt there was a female at that table. They wouldn't be this senseless. They sit there, they write and say, will you now pay us? And the person starts running on TV and everywhere else and saying the residents pay me. Now, as we stand, according to their contract, we owe them 600,000 US dollars net. Simply because on one particular day in May, they signed a piece of paper and took things that belonged to the residents.
That's an incredible amount of money.
That's what I'm saying. This is brazen. This is unbelievable. This is the highest level of disrespect of citizens I've ever come across. This is robbery. Highway robbery right at the heart of government. How can people sit and steal at that level and call themselves a government? It's unbelievable. That is why I've said they're no longer stealing for government. You know, Zinara, they would say, no, it's government taking it. Zupko, they'll say it's government taking it. Zesa, now they are giving it straight to an individual. So you, my brother, deserve 22,000 US dollars from the residents of Harare for putting a fence around. And then, guess what? They will collect the rubbish, bring it to you, you pay. Whatever you do with the rubbish, you get electricity, you chow the money. Now, that's a gangster's paradise, in the words of a great Tupac.
He was a great rapper. Let's just break for a moment and then we'll come back and finish up this topic. It is very contentious. We're just talking about the Pomona deal here with the mayor of Harare, and he's been very expressive about how it is illegal, how proper procurement processes were not taken. And please, Mr. Mayor, may you tell us what are the social and economic implications of this, of the current deal to the resident of Harare?
Well, let's look at it. $22,000 per day, 40,000 net per day. It means the rates will go up. It's not Jacob Mafume who is going to pay. It's you, the residents, who are going to pay from your ratepayers. So we will have to increase the rates for us to be able to pay off this thing. They are suggesting that government is given a government guarantee. But those are our taxes. That was money that was supposed to come to our clinics. You know, as the Harare City Councils, we facilitated the birth of 3,000 children per month. In Harare that are done by council clinics, and we are the primary health giver for Harare. We do your vaccination, your weighing, your primary diseases, your infectious diseases. We are supposed to provide water to the residents of Harare. We have got a capacity to provide 600 megaliters. We're supposed to provide 1,400 megaliters. Chemicals cost $3 million US dollars per month. We're supposed to do the roads, the potholes. We're supposed to do the transport system of Harare. We're supposed to do the refuse collection. We need about 40 compactors working every day, coming out of the workshop to pick up the refuse. We need tipper trucks and front-end loaders to do the dump clearance, because we now have got a city of 3 million people. We've got over 40 schools that we need to take off. We've got a drug problem in the city of Harare. We need to increase our social spending, the sports amenities. Youths are getting into crystal meth, and we have a social problem. We have a crime problem in Harare. We've got a transport problem in the city of Harare. We've got a city that is failing to develop because people are stealing the money and using it for in other countries for girlfriends, for whatnot, buying Lamborghinis, expensive cars. You cannot have a government which looks like a showroom for the mafia. Bentleys, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, every Bugattis. I mean, a country like this one, a person can buy a Bugatti, Rolls Royce Phantom.
But okay, let's just bring it back to the issue at hand. Are you saying that the city of Harare has been incapacitated because the government has been stealing money for personal use?
Yes. What is this? Who do you think is getting the money? If I'm going to be paying them $40,000, it's for them. Where is the money for Zinara going? We have 800,000 vehicles and growing in Harare. 800,000 vehicles. If they were paying $10 to the city of Harare, per month or whatever, we will have $8 million to do the roads. Mm-hmm. I know they were paying about $40 per month to Zinara, and 800,000 of those vehicles are in the city of Harare. We will be having about in excess of over $120 million per month to do the roads in Harare. All that money goes and disappears into the belly of an ever-hungry government. And it only comes out in droplets of spit, very little money. This year, we got from Zinara about 900 million RTGS.
Okay.
That's about 40,000 US.
Over the years, the city of Harare has been implicated on cases of corruption and just ill dealings. So does that balance it out?
It doesn't balance it out. Doesn't balance it out at all. This is mega theft. This is the champions.
And the corruption places at the city of Harare.
This is Champions League theft. This is not someone.
So they must steal a little bit.
No, they must not steal. We are tough on corruption. We don't want corruption at the city of Harare. I, as the mayor, I've been suspended because I'm refusing these mega deals. I'm refusing.
And you've been arrested?
Yes, on trumped up charges. Trumped up charges. Right now they can just come in and arrest me for something. I know they will arrest me because the residents of Harare are allowing me to speak on my own. And the longer I continue to speak on my own, the riskier I'm putting my life. This is not, Pomona is not my swimming pool. It's
so the residents of Harare to come out and rally behind you and just speak out against...
Yes, rally behind themselves. It's not being stolen from me. You see, the problem with Zimbabwean people, they smile when people steal from them. The government took Zupco, they smile. The government took Zinara, they smile. The government took Zesa, they smile. The government took Air Zimbabwe, destroyed it, they smile. NRZ, they smile. Now they are coming to take even the rubbish. They're not tired of taking. They're taking the rubbish. What next? They're going to take your sewage, and you're going to pay them for them to take your sewage. That is where they are going. So I'm saying the people of Zimbabwe or Harare, the citizens of Harare, must draw a line. Enough is enough. They must not be diverted by some of these silly arrests against my person when somebody is getting $20,000 per day.
All right. Now, Mr. Mayor, so in your view, what is the way forward regarding this deal?
The way forward is that the residents must call for the cancellation of this deal. The residents must protest rampant theft. The residents must bring the government to account so that this cannot continue. People must be made accountable. This is not colonial time. This is not some David Livingstone or some Stanley or some Cecil John Rhodes running around with pieces of paper for people to sign their land away. No, it can't happen. We can't allow that as citizens.
Okay, so what steps are being taken for to address your concerns?
We are holding a meeting tomorrow as City Council. We have been petitioned. It will be at the city of Harare. It will hold the special council meeting that we have called for, and that special council meeting will deal with this issue to finality. And I hope that the various organs of government can have a rethink. This is not what people fought for. This is not what people fought for. Did they fight for one individual to get money like that from people? This is becoming ridiculous. It is becoming primitive accumulation that Karl Marx was talking about. Very, very basic kind of accumulation. Taking Platonius accumulation. Some of their cabinet ministers are developing extra stomachs to put in extra food.
Okay, so which organizations are invited to this meeting?
It's a public meeting, it's a council, the press is invited,
Alright.
Everyone is invited, the
Residents
are invited, we are all invited.
Now to just talk specifically about the Pomona deal, there will be many other things on the agenda.
It's a special council, we want to speak about Pomona.
Alright, thank you so much for your time, thank you so much for coming to our show and just clarifying this issue, because like I said earlier on, it's a very contentious topic and many people in Harare have many things to say about it. So it was very nice to have you here and have you speak in capacity as mayor and help us to understand this. And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching our show. Please join us once again next week.